Alright, so today we're going to make a quick video on doing some cam work on this part that I have here on the plate, and we are going to nest that onto a plate, do some nesting. So we've already drawn this part. We're going to come in, and first thing we're going to do is go to our project settings, and this is where we will set up the size of our plate that we're going to work with. Now, width is side to side on the table, length is front to back on the table. Here is our piece that we're going to cut this part out of. This piece is 48 by 60, so it's 48 wide by 60 long, and we are just going to put that in. Now, for our purposes on our Westcott plasma table, because we are going to do everything with our settings and our speeds and our curve on the table, we are not worried about material type, thickness, or anything like that. If you are using Design2Cut or FlashCut for your machine control as well, you'll want to set your material type, your thickness, your plasma settings, all of that. Here at eHovie, for our purposes, we're going to our Westcott table that has an iCNC controller. We're going to put our software through ProMotion Nest, and therefore it will do all of our offsets. So we need to come to our plasma settings and make sure that our kerf width is set to 0. Again, if you're doing this for your table and you're using Design2Cut or FlashCut, you'll want to choose the correct parameters here and leave your kerf offset. So we have that done. I'm going to zoom in, and we're just going to check. Our lead ends are in the center of our holes here. Our lead ends out here in space on that part. Our lead in is on the center of the hole here, and this is not an internal cut. So again, just make sure you check your lead ends. If you need to adjust them, click on it. You can change the type by turning it to a line and clicking OK, and it'll change that one to a line. Or I can go back to an arc, and I can just click and drag on the end of this if I want to move it around and change it. Okay. Now, for the nesting portion of this, we have this plate, and I need to cut 6 of these. I'm going to choose the true shape nesting here, which will allow my part to rotate around, and we're going to go over some settings. We only have one part on our file, so we're only worried about tank support back booze. All right, now we can add more parts to this and nest more parts, but for right now, it's asking us what the count on this highlighted part is, so we're going to say we need 6 of these. We can tell it just to fill the sheet and see how many of them we can get, and we can automatically add work pieces in case we can't fit 6 of these on our particular workpiece. Nesting from the corner, the X negative, Y negative corner, so it's going to nest from this corner down here, X negative this direction, Y negative this direction, and it's going to nest along the X axis and try to preserve the plate. If you don't like the results, you can always change this to along the Y axis. As far as parameters go, this is how much space it's going to leave between all of its parts. 1/4 of an inch seems to be reasonable for scrap usage. You can tell it to nest inside of cutouts. So if I have a ring with a hole, if I check this box, it will put a part inside of that drop that would be inside of a hole. We don't have any large holes on this, so that setting's not going to do us any good. Rotation step, the smaller the number you make this, the more accurate nesting you will get, but the more processing time this will take. Looking at this part, I can't imagine that 90-degree steps aren't reasonable for fitting this part. There's no angles that I think will be a big deal, but we'll set it at 45 just for giggles to see what it comes up with. And then minimum distance from sheet is how far from the edge of your sheet to your part. Okay, so we've got everything set. We're going to click Start Nesting, and it will go through and it will nest out this part to try to make the best use of the plate. Now, if we don't like this and we really didn't want to step up and we wanted to preserve plate here and here as a rectangle, We could, since this didn't do anything, we could come to grid nesting. So let's try grid nesting and see if we like the results better. We want 6 of these. We want along the x-axis, right? And our spacing parameters, we're going to put at 0.25 and 0.25. So we have 0.25 between our parts in all directions, and we're going to start our nesting. And you see that held and preserved the edges of the plate. Now, for our purposes with welding coupons and things, I like the results of this better. So sometimes true shape nesting isn't always the answer. We're going to click OK. As long as you've got all your parts nested and are happy with it, you've got your settings right, then we are ready to go ahead and export the G-code by clicking this button, saving to our flash drive, and taking it to our machine and letting our machine in the back do the rest of the magic.